Hey everyone, this is 8-Bit Flashback, and I just got my newest build done. And what I've done this time is I took an official Super Nintendo Classic Edition case, I put a Raspberry Pi 3 inside, an NFC reader, and this has functional cartridges. So let's take a closer look. Alright guys, so this is an official Super Nintendo case, and I bought the Super Nintendo Classic Edition on launch day, and I couldn't bring myself to cutting the case and modding it. I just couldn't do it. I waited in line for this thing for like 4 hours, and I just couldn't bring myself to modding the console I bought on launch day. But I was lucky enough to find someone selling just a case of the Super Nintendo Classic Edition on eBay. I'm not sure why they were selling just the case, but it worked out great for me. So as you can see here, from first glance, everything looks pretty much identical, but there's a lot more going on inside this one. So, for starters, in the front here, I got USB ports. So here's the stock controller ports, and then here's the USB ports I put inside this one. Alright, here's a look at the side of the case, and as you can see on this one I have access to my memory card for the Raspberry Pi 3. I got it to where it comes out of there nice and easy. And then on the back here, quite a bit different. So on this one we just had the HDMI and the USB power, and on this one we have USB power, HDMI input, and AV-out. And I had to make the hole slightly oversized because the Raspberry Pi couldn't sit flush with the back of the case. Because if you notice here on the side, there's actually a step here where the Raspberry Pi can't fit all the way flush with this back edge. So because of that, I had to recess the holes a little bit so the cables could plug in. And I was actually able to use the stock power button and reset button and make both of these functional. So this turns off the system just like it's supposed to, and this resets the system just like it's supposed to. And my favorite part about this console is it accepts cartridges. I made a spring-loaded lid here that I can put cartridges inside of. So let me grab a cartridge to show you. So here's a closer look at the spring lid, and I spent a lot of time just making cuts with an X-Acto knife. I probably had to score this 1,000 times each direction to get these cuts to go all the way through and make a nice clean cut without having too big a gap. So these cartridges have NFC tags on them, and the NFC tags on these cartridges are located right on the very bottom here. So when I stick it in a slot here, there's an NFC reader that this cartridge sits flush on, and it's able to read the cartridge. Okay, I've talked about the outside enough. Let's go ahead and open up the case, and I'll explain a little bit more of what's going on inside here. Here's a look at the inside, and the only stock parts that are still inside the case from the original Super Nintendo is right here. This is the stock circuit board for the power and reset button, and that's the only thing I reused. Everything else has been replaced. So inside here I have a Raspberry Pi 3, an NFC reader, and a power supply that powers the NFC, the fan, and the power buttons. Now this is the same electronics kit that I used for the Megabit NES case and the Dreamcast Classic Edition. And if you're wanting to get one of these electronic kits, you can find these at megabitnes.com, and I'll make sure to post a link down below. These got a lot of cool stuff on there, a lot of 3D printed cases, and a lot of electronics. It's a really cool site, you should check it out. And I also have a USB extender cable right here that allows me to hook up my front USB cables. And for controllers, I like to use the Wii U Pro controller. This is a wireless Bluetooth controller, and it works great. For a keyboard, I like to use this. This has two functions. You can use it for a keyboard or a gamepad, and it connects wirelessly with the dongle that's inside the case. Or I can also just use a USB controller like this. So here's an up-close look at the NFC reader, and how it works is I got the NFC tag that's on the very bottom of the cartridge here. And when that lays flat against this, and I push the reset switch or turn the power off and on, it reads this cartridge and loads automatically to this game. And I'm not limited to games that are just on cartridges. I can play any game that I have loaded in the emulation station. These just make it more fun. So for the power and reset buttons, I ended up soldering wires right to the reset switch and the power button. And for the LED light, it was so small, I ended up just running a new LED light, and I put it right here. So one of the only mods I wanted to do that I wasn't able to do was make this eject button functional. And I had plans to, but because this power circuit board right here crosses over the top of that eject button, there's no way to make the eject button work without removing the circuit board So I decided to sacrifice the eject button. That way I have a nice functional power and reset switch. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put this back together and fire it up on the TV and show you the software. So I can power it up with the game in the slot and it'll load right to that game, or I can just power it up and it'll go to the emulation station menu just like it's supposed to. So I'm going to go ahead and power it up here, and there's a custom splash screen on here made by Daimyo's Game Share. For the image I'm using, it was originally made by MLP, and then someone by the name of DMC modified the image and put some more games and some more video artwork on there. And then in addition to that, I also made some modifications to the image. And one of the main things I did here is at the bottom of the screen here, I changed these buttons to where it was the actual buttons that's on the Super Nintendo Classic Edition menu. So I took the artwork from that and pasted that right on the bottom of here, so it has more of an official look to it. So to load a game, it's simple. All you gotta do is put it in the slot, push reset, and my game will load right up. And to change the game, that's simple also. Just swap the game, push reset, and that should load the next game. So I can play more games than what's on the cartridges. If I want to play a game that's not on the cartridge, all I got to do is go back to the home screen. That'll load up the emulation station. And I can pick whatever game I want. And this is a really cool image. It's all about Nintendo. We have the family computer, the disk system, the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Super Famicom, the Super Nintendo, family computer, Classic Edition with 30 games, the NES Classic Edition, 30 games, Super Famicom, 21 games, Super Nintendo Classic Edition, 21 games. And inside each folder we have artwork for the games and video snaps for each system. So here's the artwork, and then we get a video snap, and it's the same for every game. So right now I have Super Mario All-Stars programmed on this cartridge, and of course that makes sense because that's what's on the label. But if we want to write something else to this cartridge, put a new label on it, whatever, it's real easy to do. All I gotta do is stick it in the slot. Now pick a game that I want. We'll do Super Punch-Out. Now as soon as the game loads, all I gotta do is hold the reset button for about 3 seconds. And then this light will start blinking. And when that light starts blinking 3 times, that indicates that it just rewrote the cartridge with this game. So now when I push reset, it's just going to load this Super Punch-Out now. And if I want to put Super Mario All-Stars back on it, that's no problem. All I gotta do is load Super Mario All-Stars, hold the reset button, and it'll rewrite to that cartridge. Now I'm going to go ahead and power this off to show you the power button works. Now I'm going to go ahead and power it back on, and I have a cartridge in the slot already, so whatever is programmed on that cartridge, it's automatically going to load to after the splash screen. So I'm going to go ahead and power it up. So when you power it back up, it just loads whatever cartridge you have in the slot. So I've been playing this Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, and I've been finding out it's crazy hard. It's way harder than I remember. But I'm in luck because I have the Game Genie. So I can program whatever code I want and make it work. So let's go and load the Game Genie. Fire it up. So I just need to put my code in. And start the game. Oh, Alright, I lied. It doesn't actually work. This is just the Game Genie BIOS. It's just the menu for it. And how it's supposed to work is you punch the codes in, or multiple codes, you press start with the cartridge inserted, and it loads the game with those new cheat codes. But the way this is set up, it won't work like that. So I'm just doing this for fun, but it does bring back some good memories. I remember using the Game Genie a lot with the games that were too hard. But if you want to use Game Genie codes, you can still do that in RetroArch, and I'll show you how to do that in a future tutorial. So everyone, if you want to learn more about the NFC technology, be sure to check out the Megabit NES case series. It's going to be a 3-part series. I've already done part 1 that talked about the console and how it works, kind of similar to this, but in part 2 I'm going to show you how to assemble and build everything, and then in part 3 I'm going to talk about the software and how to program it and how to use it. Alright guys, thanks for watching. If you want to hear more from me, please like and subscribe, and if you want to see more of my videos, just click any of these links.